Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I've got the recording going now. For those of you that are brand new, just came on to my list today and just got this first notice about this webinar. I do these webinars every Monday, and these are webinars just for you guys, so you can come on and ask questions. And if I can, I'll answer the questions right here on the call. And you can send in questions beforehand, and I'll answer those questions during the call in case you can't make it and you want to be sure your question gets asked. Now, I do my best to try to record these calls, but I can't guarantee they're always going to be recorded. We've been plagued with problems for the last couple of calls with really bad lag, but it seems like tonight's quite a bit better than what we've been having, so hopefully we won't be bothered with lag tonight. Just a little brief history about myself, so in case you did just come onto my list and you don't know who I am. My name is Rick Roberts, and I've been working online since 1994. I've got several websites online right now, and I primarily have three websites that I mostly work from, but I have lots of other little websites, and then I do offline networking too and web hosting for offline clients. I don't want to go into a great big huge history about myself because if you're on my list, you got the very first email that tells quite a bit about me. And of course, you can always contact me through email, ask me any questions you want, and get to know me that way. But again, I wanted to thank you for coming to the call tonight. Like I said, these calls are just for you, so these are all about you. I'm going to have a little small mini training for you guys tonight, and then after that, we're going to open up the floor for questions. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and type them into the chat box now, and I'll get to them as soon as we get through with the training here, and hopefully we'll get through this without any more disconnects. So I'm going to share the screen now so you can see the little presentation I prepared for tonight. So hopefully a lot of times when I share the screen, it'll go black on your end. If that happens and it don't recover, you may have to log back out and log back in. So let's see if we can switch to the desktop. Okay, so hopefully you're seeing my desktop now. We've got the PDF PowerPoint slide up here. Just want to go through a little brief training for you. One of the things I told you I was going to show you how to get more subscribers without using a squeeze page. Now, most everybody knows what a squeeze page is, and in case you're brand new to internet marketing, you don't know what a squeeze page is. Basically, a squeeze page is a page you put up that has your autoresponder opt-in form on it, where you're offering the person some sort of gift in return for their email address so that they can be joined to your mailing list so that you can send them emails in an autoresponder sequence. Now, some people don't use an autoresponder sequence. They may have just a welcome email and just send broadcast emails, but most people have some sort of an email sequence that they send out. I have a very limited one. I think mine have maybe 8-10 messages in it, and then after that, it's all broadcasts after that. But that's basically what a squeeze page is. It's you're offering the person that's coming to your page some sort of a gift in exchange for their email address to join your list. Now, on your website, whether no matter what kind of website it is, you need to use an opt-in form in many places as you possibly can. Now, the thing is, you don't want to detract from the purpose of the page by having the opt-in form take over and be the most dominant things. The general rule of thumb is you should put opt-in forms on every page as long as it doesn't significantly detract from the primary objective of the page. A good example of that is on sales pages. A long time ago, and so well, it's not really been that long ago, it was common for marketers to put up a sales page, and about a third of the way down the page, maybe halfway down the page, they had an opt-in form. So that in case people weren't really sure if they wanted to buy a product, they were given a chance to opt in to get a free sample of some sort of the product that the sales page was about. We've kind of went away from that. You still see that in some cases, but in most cases anymore, we don't have opt-in forms in the middle of a sales page anymore. And the reason is because it detracts from the sales page. Now, that's just one example of a place where an opt-in can detract from the main purpose of a page. Other examples would be like an article page where you're actually trying to teach something or describe a process or whatever. You want your opt-in form on a page like that, if you're going to put one on it, to be noticeable, but you don't want it to dominate and overtake the instruction that you're given from your article post or your blog post, whatever it might be. So, they can be overused, but in a lot of cases they're underused. So what I want to go through tonight is a way of showing you how to get more subscribers without using a squeeze page. So we're going to go through some examples of ways of doing this. All right. One way is with pop-ups and pop-unders. Now, I'm going to tell you right up front that pop-ups and pop-unders are not acceptable as forms of list building anymore. And the reason is, in case you don't know what a pop-up is, I'm sure you probably do, but here's an example of them. They pop up in a little box and they get in your way and you have to close them out. These were really, really popular and got started back in, I guess, 1996 to 2000 or so is when they were really predominantly being used. And just a little case history in case you didn't read all of my emails. I was one of the first people back in 1996, I guess it was, that was a beta tester for the X10 home automation software that was one of the first companies that developed the pop-ups that you see. I worked on that beta team for getting those things to work and verifying, that they work. Now, anymore, another reason why people don't like these pop-ups like this is because a lot of times they're associated with adware or malware. And in fact, if you're seeing pop-ups when you don't even have a web browser open, just on your desktop, you're seeing pop-ups come up, you probably have some sort of adware or malware on your computer that's causing that. So, people generally just don't like those anymore. So they're not recommended anymore because they're annoying, and most browsers block them now since about 2000 or so. Browsers started building in, ways of blocking the pop-ups and the pop-unders. So they're not a good, effective form of generating list subscribers anymore. But now what does work and what is still acceptable is to do the pop-overs and the pop-ins. Now, you may not know exactly what a pop-over and a pop-in is. I'm going to give you some good examples of them here. A pop-over example is like the lightbox or the slide-ins that you see when you go to a page and then this page goes dark and an opt-in form comes up and you have to either close it out or opt in to the form to get the page to come visible again. And let me show, I've got some examples of those. Let's see, those would be right here. This is an example of just a regular pop-over. It just pops up in the middle of the screen, and as you can see, it has the X here to where you can close it and view the rest of the page. This is all from Aweber. Aweber has this built into their services if you use them. And then here's the same thing using a lightbox. And as you can see, the background of the page is darkened out to where you can't read it, and you either have to opt in to the form here or close the thing out to see the page. As you can see, when you close it, it turns the lights back on. In other words, that's why they call it a light box, because the lights were turned out and then they're turned back on. Another example of popovers like that are slide-ins. Here, let's do this one right here. This is one from the top. It's where the opt-in form comes sliding in from the top. And then let's do one more showing from the bottom, this time with the light box. And as you can see, it pops in from the bottom, grabs your attention, and it's got the light box, which means the lights are turned out. And if you either opt in or you close this, the lights get turned on and you get to read the page again. So that's examples of the light box and the slide-ins, how they work. The other type that you see, and they're considered the pop-ins, and in fact my slide is missing. I don't know what happened to it here. But the other example of pop-ins would be the exit pops that you see, and also the virtual sales agents. And I got a couple examples of those. This is probably the most popular exit pop that you'll see. I know you've probably seen these when you go to close the page. The little screen pops up here and says wait, and they're going to offer you something to stay on the page, and you either leave the page or you can stay on the page. And if you click stay on the page, usually another offer comes up of some sort or an opt-in form. Those are really effective, and they're a little annoying. Like if you're wanting to navigate away from a page, you get that message, and those are kind of below the lines of pop-ups, but they're not as annoying as a pop-up because you can at least close them and they go away. And then another example that I wanted to show you is the virtual sales agent. And if you go to Google and you just type in virtual sales agent, and of course it puts software in there, this very first link down here where it says intelligent is a really good example of that. And as you can see, this is a traditional sales page that you can scroll down through here and read it. And if you decide that you're wanting to leave, when you go to close the browser or navigate away from it, again it pops up with the confirmation telling you to wait, that there's a virtual agent that's willing to make you a special offer and chat with you. If you click on stay on the page, as you can see, a virtual sales agent comes up here, and it's a simulated conversation. It's not real. There is keywords built into most of these where if you type in certain keywords, they know what to respond back with. And then there are some examples where they're live sales agents, but mostly when you see a live one, you'll see an actual video over here of someone talking. And as you'll notice, this one has an opt-in form built into it as well. And these are really effective too. The virtual sales agents, they're a little more complicated to set up than the exit pops are. And then of course, like the popovers that you get with like the light boxes that I just showed you, these are a little more complicated to set up, but these do work really well because they do simulate a conversation in a way, and you can put links in here to a special offer or whatever. So these are really effective. But generally, for the most part, like I said, you want to use opt-in forms as many places as you can on your website, and you want to use them in ways that they're not annoying. Like I said, I don't recommend the pop-ups or the pop-unders anymore. Those people find those annoying, to have to close out windows to be able to continue on with their browsing experience. But you should use opt-in forms everywhere you can, but you don't want them to detract from the main purpose of the page, whatever it might be, if it's not an actual squeeze page. So keep those in mind. Those examples I just gave you are excellent ones, and like I said, the ones that work really the best. This is directly from Aweber's help section. I'm sorry, but these are all built into Aweber, and I'm sure GetResponse and Constant Contact and some of the others have these built into them too. So you get this software with an autoresponder in most cases. Like I said, you do definitely get it with Aweber, and I'm almost positive that GetResponse offers this too. But anyway, that's what I wanted to show you about other ways of getting subscribers and not having to use a squeeze page. And again, like I said, the old school way was to put an opt-in form in the middle of a sales page, and people kind of went away from that because it detracted from the sales page, because people would go get the free sample first before they would continue reading the sales page. Okay, so that was the little demonstration I had for you guys to show you how to use an opt-in form in various places beside your squeeze page. If you have any questions about that, you can type them in here, and I'll answer those. But I've got a couple of questions that were received by email. Don earlier, let's see. Don earlier asked a question, but we'll scroll back and get that one in a minute. But let's go over the three that I no, I got actually 4 questions from this week. The first one was, why do so many marketers use OTO, one-time offer, in case you don't know what that means, pages? Why do so many marketers use the OTO pages? Well, there's 2 instances where people use the OTOs. One is on an actual sales funnel process, and in a lot of cases, the reason why they do it there is because the front end offer, in a lot of cases, in case you didn't know it, is a loss leader. They may be paying the affiliate that sent you the link to that sales page 100% of the commissions just to get traffic to the sales page. So the only way they make money is on the OTO, or back end offer is what they call it on the vendor side, is the back end offer. Then another situation where people use the OTO offers is on list signups, where you send somebody to a squeeze page opt-in form, like we've been talking about. You opt into the page, and then you get presented with the offer. And the reason why most people do that is because most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, you're paying to send people to that squeeze page, and in order to recover your advertising costs, you're offering some sort of a discounted product just to try to recoup your advertising costs. Now, there are some people that run a reverse funnel where they're offering on an OTO one of their best products at a discounted price. It's maybe not a whole lot of a discount, but that's actually another training, how to use a reverse funnel. But that's the general reason why people do, is try to recover advertising costs, because most of the time on a front end offer, anything less than $20, most of the time you're not making anything on it. If you are making something, it's just a couple, $3, so it's just barely paying for advertising costs. And again, on list building, you're definitely, most of the time, you're paying for traffic to get to that opt-in page, so you're trying to recover that advertising cost. The next one I got was, do Facebook ads really work as well as they are described? Well, yes and no. Facebook ads are really cheap. It's probably one of the cheapest pay-per-click um, advertising mediums you can do right now. You can actually, once you get it fine-tuned down with custom audiences and targeting and retargeting, you can get it down to 1 cent or 2 cents a click. So it's really cheap if you can get it down to that point where you don't have so much of investment in it. But the thing about it is, Facebook's getting really particular about the type of ads they'll approve now. And in the general IM space, people like to put up headlines about how somebody made so much money in X amount of hours or X amount of days, or they retired from their job. The headlines I'm talking about. Facebook's getting really strict about those and declining those ads. So now, within the general IM space with Facebook ads, you really need to be advertising either some to get list subscribers, and again, you got to watch your headlines and what your page says. You can't be misleading in any way or making any promises. But Facebook ads do still work. I mean, it's one of the most cost-effective ways of advertising, really. I've run lots of Facebook ad campaigns directly to affiliate offers, but in order to do that, I have to run what they call a sandwich page, which is a pre-sale page that I give a review or a video walkthrough of the product, and then it leads from there to the actual sales page. Facebook will approve those type of ads. They're not so effective as for getting fans on a fan page anymore, because of the way they've changed their fan page format. It used to be with fan pages, you got a full page where you could put just about anything on it. Now all you get is just a regular chat wall type fan page, and you get tabs where you can put things on those, but getting people to click those tabs is getting harder and harder to do. A lot of people put the cover image up there with arrows pointing to those tabs, but Facebook's getting to where they don't, if they catch those, they'll disable the fan page because they don't like for you to specifically point out for people to click on the tabs. The next question I got is pay-per-click still a good investment? And that's yes and no on that. It just depends on what you're actually wanting to advertise with pay-per-click, and actually who you're advertising your pay-per-click with. If you're going with Google AdWords, it's really, really expensive, so you really need to keep a close check on what it's costing you. I mean, It's hard to find anything on Google in their pay-per-click AdWords that's less than 50 cents a click, and most of the time you're going to be paying 80 cents to a dollar or more per click. So you really have to be careful with pay-per-click on places like Google. Now, MSN, Bing, as they're calling themselves now, is quite a bit better as far as pay-per-click. They're still one of the major search engines, and they are IM friendly, so they are one of the better choices for pay-per-click right now. But again, you really need to watch your daily budget and how well it's performing, because you can lose a lot of money quick with even MSN. And again, the Facebook ads are pay-per-click as well. They have pay-per-click in that. And like I said, with the Facebook, you can get them using custom audiences and targeting and retargeting. You can get it down to 1 or 2 cents a click. So if you're going to do pay-per-click, I would suggest you start out with Facebook ads, even though they are kind of stringent on what you can say on the page as far as making any kind of claims and having testimonials and proof and that kind of thing. I would start out with those, and then from there I would go to Bing. I would use Google last until you really, really are familiar with how pay-per-click works and got your uh, pages and your opt-in forms fine-tuned to they're going to perform well when you send traffic to them, because you can lose a lot of money with AdWords experimenting with it. Even though Google gets the most traffic, and you're going to get lots of traffic through those pay-per-click ads, you can really run up a really high bill real quick with AdWords. And then finally, the last question I got in the email this week was, is CPA, cost per action, really profitable as they claim? And again, this is another yes and no question. Cost per action, in case you're not familiar with it, is where you advertise some company's link, and they're either offering something for sale or an opt-in or a free sample or whatever, and anyone that takes that offer or opts into their list or gets that free sample, they'll pay you for sending that person that link. Now the problem with CPA, unless you're dealing with some of the major ones, there's a lot of scam artists in it. You'll invest all that time and possibly even money for pay-per-click to send to those links, and they never get paid for it. They'll either close up shop, or they'll claim it was bogus traffic that you sent, even though it's not, that you paid money to send the traffic there. There's a lot of them that will scam you out of the money and never pay you. It's really bad with the email submits. There's a lot of CPA offers that are all they're asking for is an email address, for somebody to give them an email address, and they'll give you 25-30 cents. I've even seen $1 for some of those, but they scrub them so much and they claim that half of them weren't real, that they were fake addresses, so you wind up losing a lot of money. And this is even with the major CPA companies. You have to really, really be in good with your manager to make sure that you're getting the best deal from them and not getting ripped off, because most of the time with CPA, you're going to wind up spending money on advertising. Most of the time that's pay-per-click to get the traffic to those links. So it can be profitable, but you got to really stay on top of it. And then against another part of the CPA that you really have to pay attention to is the offers themselves. They can be active today and then gone tomorrow, and you've got paid advertising going to an offer that's no longer active anymore. So it's kind of you really have to babysit it quite a bit if you're going to be in CPA. So I'd really pay attention to the offers, and then again, the company that you're dealing with. I would only deal with the major ones. These new startups, it says they'll accept anyone. I would be really leery of them, especially using any paid traffic to their offers, because more than likely you're probably not going to get paid. I would wait on a new startup like that, even though they're saying they're accepting anyone, to see some reviews of people getting paid before I would ever even deal with them. And again, if you're going to do CPA, I would recommend that you talk to your service manager and find out what offers are converting. And a lot of times when you talk to them, if you tell them what kind of traffic you're going to send, and what kind of traffic to expect from you, a lot of times they'll give you a better deal just by talking to them. So yeah, it can be profitable, but it can be, risky too, that you could lose what you've invested into it or lose a lot of time if you're sending free traffic. Anyway, that's the questions that I received over the email this week. So let's see what questions we have here. Does anybody have any questions on the training I gave you on the popovers and the pop-ins? Is everybody still hearing me? Derek wants to know if I've tried Teespring. Um, yes and no. I've tried Teespring with another person. We went in it on a joint venture, and it did fairly well. But she had a really good following on Facebook, and was marketing I believe it was a dog, something to do with dogs, and it did really well. It's it you know The thing about Teespring is you have to make that quota, or the the offer doesn't go through and nobody has to pay anything. So if you're going to start out with Teespring, I would recommend starting low, unless you're working with somebody can get a lot of traffic. So start it out low, minimum like 10 shirts or something like that. If I were doing it myself and I set it to 25 or 30, it would be tough for me to get 25 or 30 sales, so the offer would go through. But yeah, it is profitable. I do know that Facebook is clamping down on the Teespring campaigns now, and the reason why they're doing it is because the NFL has been contacting Facebook, wanting to know who these advertisers are. They're advertising these football slogans and logos on their shirts. They're they're polling or petitioning Facebook to get the advertiser info, because they're wanting to send a cease and desist to those. So, I'd be careful with Teespring if you're going to do that, and go into it lightly. And like I said, set your first sale campaign for, like 10 shirts or something small that you can achieve. Scroll back here and see if I missed any questions while I was talking there. Don says you sent me a question via email a few days ago. Don, was it one of the questions I answered a few minutes ago? If it wasn't, go ahead and retype it. John Allen wants to know the best one or two ways for a newbie to get started list building. Current site is activities for autistic children org. Um, John, I would think the best way in that niche right there would be to come up with some sort of a sample of a product that you're wanting to sell. I mean, it might be that you're wanting to sell affiliate products, which in that case you'd want to do some sort of, like a report or a review of the product or something, and then contact either blog owners or forum owners in that niche and see if you can run some sort of banner ads on their blog. And of course, the other way, is to do the Facebook ads. That would work well for targeting that niche in Facebook. I'm sure you could find a lot of traffic that way. But in a niche like that, John, you're really looking at spending money on paid traffic. It's going to be hard to get free traffic unless you can get a keyword phrase, that you're going to be able to rank for, and it gets a lot of traffic. You may be able to do it that way. Article marketing would be another way of doing it with free traffic, but any kind of SEO or article marketing like that, it's going to take a while for it to kick in. So the fastest way, like I said, would be to spend some money on some paid advertising. And like I said, that would be I would recommend banners on blogs or in forums that are in that niche, or doing Facebook ads to a custom audience like that. Roy wants to know, do you send broadcast emails to your guests while you're receiving the initial email sequence? Roy, I try to keep my broadcast down to a minimum. I know here recently you've gotten quite a few from me where I've had so many problems. I try to in my best, I really try to not send more than 2 emails per week, 3 at the most if I have to. And the reason why that is because I'm counting my email sequence at the same time. I try not to get more than 2 or 3 emails a week out to subscribers because a lot of them, they don't want to be contacted that much. I don't believe in this daily contact like a lot of people do. Some people believe in, daily contact. Some people believe in contacting 2 or 3 times a day. I'm on one marketer's list where he uses his autoresponder like an instant messenger. He'll send you these 1 or 2 line emails 6 or 7 times a day. And, he does that because he's always doing something live. He wants to show you something he just found and that kind of thing. So it's like he's treating it like he's always live or something. Is the reason why he does that. So I've kind of grown to accept that, but it does get aggravating getting at me emails. But no, I try to keep my broadcast down to a minimum. And as you know, Roy, I don't know how long you've been on my list, but I don't promote very much at all. I only promote things that I've tried myself or I use myself. So Okay, see some questions about your browsers not working. Rick, to be honest, transparent with you, Facebook ads, and it should be okay. And then Derek asked about Teespring. And Derek wants to talk about MobiFire. Derek, what's your questions about MobiFire? Okay, here it is. Is there a source for software? No, that's not about MobiFire. Is there a source for software to resell? Where do you get your software that you offer? I get his emails too. His copy is just good enough to get me interested. When was the last time that guy sold his own product? Derek, I'm not sure what you're asking here. Is there a source for software to resell? Derek, there's places that you can get software that can be white labeled and POR branded. If that's what you're asking, there's places for doing it. In fact, I'm a member of a couple of sites where you can do that. Um, Generally, they charge a pretty good fair amount for their memberships. But yeah, there is places where you can get, and one of the best places if you're wanting to get into creating software and not have to do the coding is go to codecanyon.net. And I'll just give you guys a really good tip here. My MobiFire Creator product came from code that I bought from codecanyon.net. I started out with the source code that I bought there and then developed it into my own product. So, that's where that got started, was from a, code that I bought from there. Um, I worked on it probably 200 or 300 hours before it was ever released, making all kinds of changes and fancy modifications. And then, of course, the really wild interface that I came up with, you guys that own here, I know Derek owns MobiFire. That interface took a long time to create, but the original code started from codecanyon.net. That that you can go there and get a lot of different code. And I know a lot of marketers that go there and buy WordPress plugin source code, and then they'll release that WordPress plugin as a new plugin, and you'll see all these marketers trying to sell you that plugin, and the code came from Code Canyon. So it's not like it's something people don't know about. There's a lot of people using it. Why was MobiFire created, and what was your goal? Um, Derek, the main reason behind why I created MobiFire was to make it easier to create Android apps, because Android apps and tablets are the marketing boom right now. Everything is going to tablets, and then Android is just taking over. It used to be that the iOS, the iPad and the iPod and all that were the kings, but Android is they're definitely taking over. I mean, you're seeing it more and more on the cell phones, and about over half of the tablets now have the Android operating system. So I wanted to create a product that made it easy to create those apps. I did them manually the hard way when I first started. I would take that source code that I had and I would manually edit each app, line by line with Notepad, and then put them into Eclipse and create the apps. So I wanted to create an easy way of doing that, so you could really crank them out a lot faster. And with the Mobifier now, you can crank out the app. The actual app itself is no problem creating it now. It's still the store listing that takes so much time because you have to have so many of those images. And I haven't found a good solution for that yet. If I could find a good solution for putting out those images, that would be great. Because, man, I'll just tell you, if Derek, I don't know how many apps you've published yet, but if you get those things started and get them published and they start getting downloads, man, that's easy passive income. I mean, you do it once and don't have to worry about it again unless you've created an app that needs to be updated every now and then. But if you create these niche apps and things like that, man, they'll just get downloaded like crazy, and you'll get a monthly check from these ad networks like AdMob or AirPush or Tap Context has been really good to me. I've made a lot of money with Tap Context in the Android apps. But that was the whole goal of it, Derek, was just to make it easier to put the apps out. I wish, like I said, I wish there was a way of making the actual listing publishing easier. Somebody could come up with something on making that easier, and they'd make a killing if they could do that. But I have yet to find a way to make that any easier. Waikey, how much of your biz, Rick, is in niches other than make money online? About 40% or so, I would imagine. The primary niches that I'm into are, of course, make money online is the biggest one. Personal finance, I've got a product out in personal finance. I got another product out in options trading. I've got a product that I'm working on in the fitness niche right now that I hope to be able to get that out pretty soon. I've ordered all kinds of advertising for it already and had to put it on hold already because I still don't have the product ready. But my original niche that I started out in wasn't even make money online. It was in the do-it-yourself herbal cures niche. And I've done really well in that niche, guys. I'll tell you, I really did. Even though I started on a whim, I was watching a Kevin Trudeau infomercial. I'm sure you guys have seen some of those Kevin Trudeau infomercials where he talks about how the government's keeping him from telling you about this and that and the other. That got me started on it, thinking about, herbal cures and natural cures and that type of thing. So that was the very first website I ever put online to try to make any money with it, was in that niche there. And I let it run for, I guess, about 8 years. And it done really well. I was making good money with AdSense with it. And then I had an opt-in form on it, and I was building a fairly decent list with it. And then all of a sudden, Google changed their way of thinking towards blogs like that and de-indexed it, and it just killed it. So I never went back into that niche. But the ones I do the best with, like I said, is in personal finance and then the options trading. I do really well in those two. And like I said, I've got a product that I'm going to be releasing soon as I get a chance to work on it in the fitness niche that should do real well too. Can you show us later how to use source code for our own products at a later date? You won't know how to take source code for software or source code for PLR, Don? Which one are you asking, or both? Software, okay. Yeah, actually, I can do that. I'll look over on Code Canyon and see what I can find just to give you guys an example of getting something from there and turn it into your own product. I'm sure there's several things where I could find that could do that really easy. I'll do that. I'll get some sort of source code from over there and then show you guys how to turn it into your own product. That, it's kind of like doing PLR in a way. It's sort of similar to that. Derek says Rick is a programmer. Yeah, I do quite a bit of PHP and database programming, Derek. I'm not really that proficient with C and that kind of thing, but I do a lot of PHP and database programming. There's not a lot about MySQL that I don't know about because I had to work MySQL databases for so many years before I got into internet marketing. That was part of my job, was to maintain a database for an online store. So I got to know database and SQL commands really well. Affiliate programs for your option trading, personal finance, etc. products. Right now, I don't have any of them set up on affiliate programs, Waikey. They're just straight PayPal sales. I don't have any of them set up on any of the affiliate networks. I probably should. In fact, I did have one of the I've actually got two versions of a personal finance product. It started out as a PLR product, guys. It was one of the high-end PLR products that I bought, but it started out as a PLR product, and I made one version of it and did list it on ClickBank for a while. But then ClickBank said I wasn't getting enough sales to it. I don't know why. And they de-indexed it from their marketplace so that I could pay another $49 to get it listed back again. And I just took it straight off of ClickBank, just left it on a straight PayPal sale now. But it's still making sales. It's just that it's not active in the ClickBank marketplace. I'm getting ready to maybe revamp that product. My brother is actually working on a deal where he's going to have a 30-minute TV show if he can get the sponsoring worked out, and I'm thinking about maybe taking that product and listening on that in the commercial if he does that. The options trading, it's one of my high-end products that I sell, and I guess I probably should put that one on an affiliate network because it is one of them I sell for $197, and then there's a $97 downsell fee if they don't take the full product. So I probably should put that one on an affiliate network. Do you guys have any questions about the popovers or the pop-ins? Now, I hope I made that clear to you that all of that stuff, except for the exit pops and the virtual sales agent, all of that stuff's available inside your autoresponder accounts. AWeber has that built into it. I'm almost positive that GetResponse does as well. Constant Contact has that somewhat, not exactly as much as AWeber does. But if you have an AWeber account, you have access to all of that already, and you really need to be using it. I used that popover, the Lightbox one, on that do-it-yourself Natural Cures blog that I had. I used it on that, and it was getting 15, 20 opt-ins a day just from that. So they do work. Dawn, did I answer your question? You sent an email. You said earlier that you'd sent me an email with a question. Was one of the questions I answered one of yours? I didn't put any names with them, so I don't remember who sent them. Go ahead and type your question in again then, Don, because obviously I must have missed it. I don't know how I missed it, but I must have had somehow. Okay, so it was too long to type here. Okay. What's your opinion about posting a product as a WSO as opposed to putting it on JVZoo? Well, I'll just tell you flat out that the advertising of posting a WSO on the Warrior Forum is going to be the cheapest advertising you can get. For $40, you can't get a better source of traffic to an IM product. Now, it depends on the product, too. I mean, if it's not an IM product, the Warrior Forum as a WSO is not going to do you a whole lot of good unless you're offering some sort of resale rights or PLR rights to the product if it's not an IM related product. But WSOs have been great for me. I did my first one, I guess, in 2010 was the first one I ever done, and then actually it was in a product that wasn't even in the IM niche. It was PLR to the bass fishing ebook that I wrote that I know all you guys have seen a million times now. If you see that PLR book, Bass Fishing 101, I was the one that originally wrote that. Anyway, that was the first WSO I ever launched, was resale rights to that thing. And I messed up on it and sold master resale rights to the PLR rights. And there again, that was come from last week. We had a question about rights, and that was back when I didn't understand rights either, and I really messed up when I released the master resale rights to the PLR rights. That's how I done it. And it just got blew out of the water, and now it's everywhere, and it's lost control. But that's okay. You live and learn. But WSOs have been great for me. I just launched another one today, and this one I launched today is just strictly for list building. Like I said, they cost $40 to put one up, but the return you get back from them is just tremendous. I mean, you've got a really huge marketplace there with constant traffic, and then you've got the marketers that have big lists, that if they see a product is selling, getting a lot of action as far as interaction on the thread, they'll go check out the affiliate link and sign up to be an affiliate and promote it as well. So yeah, I'd highly recommend people do WSOs. Channels. What kind of channels are you asking about, Derek? No, Mary, I didn't send an email out about it, but you guys are going to get access to it tonight. I'm going to give you guys, in fact, I'm going to give you guys the direct download link. You won't even have to go through the opt-in. I'm just going to give you guys the direct download link to the software that I'm using as a list builder. That is, unless you want to get on the newsletter. I just started a new newsletter to go along with it. If you want to receive that, you can back up the thank you page and get on the mailing list if you want to get on it to receive that mailing list. But I'm going to give you guys the direct link to it. The cat, put your caps lock on. I've got a cat that likes to type too, Mary. He likes to help out all he can. And in fact, I need to make a video about that cat and show you guys this cat. This cat's kind of unique. He's got a little history to him. Channels of generating income: PLR, list building, WSO, CPA. My biggest channels for generating income would be product creation, and list building would be the first two. Product creation, I guess, to do the list building, but list building is definitely in the top three. After that, I guess, would be software development, I guess. I've done a lot of software here in the last 2 years, and the reason why is because it's just so much easier for me to put out software than it is to write anymore. I don't know if I told you guys that story or not, but that's how I got started with doing internet marketing. Was going through a course with Kevin Riley to learn to do the short reports, and I wrote in a 2-year span probably 150 of them. And I got burnt out on writing doing that many of them, so I don't do as much writing as I used to anymore. I do in the last 2 years I've done more video than I have writing. It took me several years to get comfortable with doing video, but after I just finally owned up to it and started doing video, I much prefer video now than I do writing. But product creation and list building are the number two. And then, of course, I got to throw those Android apps in there, Derek. They work great. I can't stress that enough. If you've not tried that, Derek, if you've not been using that software, you need to really give it a whirl, because it's amazing to see those monthly checks coming in for something you did months ago and never touch again. Roy says he's into anything that has to do with list building. Yeah, list building's the number one thing you need to be working on in any online business. It doesn't matter which niche you're in, you need to be building a list, because that's been, I guess, probably the savior of my online business is when I finally buckled down and spent the money on an autoresponder account. For years I tried the little free scripts and in fact, when I first started, I tried doing it with Outlook Express. I saved everybody into a contact group in Outlook Express and tried that, and my ISP caught that really quick. 86 on that idea really quick. So then I went from there and started installing those little self-hosted scripts that you can get. Autoresponder Plus was one of them that I tried. Media Autoresponder was another one that I tried that was supposedly could do HTML, email, and video and all that. But what I found with those scripts like that is unless you have your DNS set up exactly right and you've contacted the major email providers like Yahoo and Hotmail and MSN and all them and got on their white list that your emails don't inbox. So I finally gave up trying to do all that and just went ahead and paid for an autoresponder account. And like I said, it's been the best thing I ever done. Just to be honest with you, it's well worth the money. Even, you can get started in it for like $15. I think is what GetResponse charges for an autoresponder account, and I would highly recommend anybody have even just the smallest account you can get with GetResponse. I would highly recommend anybody do that. Brim Bretter's product creation niche and type video and reports. Yeah, the product creation is probably the biggest part of my income right now. Like I said, I don't do as much writing as I used to. I do more video and audio now, and then a lot of software now because I have some tools to create software easily now. I still do quite a bit of PHP programming, This is custom programming that I do for myself. So yeah, that's another good area people can go into if you know anything about PHP programming. There, that anything, any kind of script that you can come up with that automates something or makes something easier, you can list that as a WSO and it'll be a huge seller because people love automation. So before I forget it, let me go ahead and give you guys the link to the software. Here's the link to the software that I have on a WSO right now. Like I said, this is the direct link to the download page. If you want to get on the mailing list to get the newsletter, it's just a weekly newsletter. You're not going to get bombed to females. Of course, you already know that I don't bomb you females to start with. But that's the link to the direct link to the software. And if you want to click some of those banners down below, I would greatly appreciate it. Those are my Inner Circle members' links. So I'm trying to help those guys out, which if you don't know about my Inner Circle, you can go back to the Easy Passive Sales thing, and I've got a video that explains about it. And if you're don't have the Easy Passive Sales product, you can email me and I'll tell you about the Inner Circle. But I try to take care of those guys that are in my Inner Circle by giving them access to everything that I create and try to help them make some autopilot money. And that's what those banners are on there for, is for those guys. Since the recent problems with the autoresponders, you need to expand and build lists into Facebook fan pages, Facebook groups, and Google, etc. Yeah, and Roy, that's something I'm working on, is expanding my social media presence. I've got tons of fan pages that I started, and in fact, one I set up, and I paid quite a bit for Facebook ad traffic to get fans to that page. But then I lost interest in it. It didn't work out as well as I thought, and after I think I've got like 5,000 fans on that page. I need to revive that. Well, maybe not that one, but I really need to work on my social media presence because Facebook is taking over, guys. Google's really hurting because of it too. They realize, that people spend a big chunk of their day on Facebook now, and that their advertising is much more affordable than Google's is. So, I really need to work on that. And then there's other social networks too that you guys as internet marketers could be working on getting a presence in. One of them is AppSense. I don't know if you guys know about that. Let me give you the link to that one. That's a really good social network right there for internet marketers, guys. The more activity you have there, they give you points for it, and you can use those points to get free advertising on that site. That site gets indexed by the search engines, so if you post an article or a video or something there, it gets indexed. You can develop a complete profile there. Another one's IBO Toolbox. IBO Toolbox, they have what they call a press release section, and it does really well as far as getting indexed by the search engines. So that's another one you could look into. What are your thoughts on online classified ads and traffic exchanges for advertising? Classified ads depends on the actual website itself. Craigslist, Backpage, places like that, you can do really well with classified advertising. Some of these little rinky-dink classified advertisements, unless it's a newspaper's classified ads, those do really well. But they generally cost more to do those. But they usually run the ad in their papers too when you pay for one of their ads. Traffic exchanges, I don't recommend them at all unless you're wanting to try to do list building. And if you're going to try to do list building on traffic exchanges, you need to try to advertise some sort of a traffic related product, because that's what people will opt into there. Everybody and their brother and their dog is pitching their opportunity there, so it's hard to get any kind of signups to a program, and you can't make hardly any sales from a traffic exchange. But you can do opt-ins and list building there if you're advertising some sort of a free gift for something to do with list building, or downline building even is popular. That helps. You can get opt-ins for that, but they're not like they used to be. I tried them years and years ago when I couldn't afford to do paid advertising, I'd spend hours a day clicking those links trying to get those credits. And you used to be able you could do list building pretty good with traffic exchanges back then, but now you can't hardly do it at all unless you're trying to give them something to do with either getting more traffic or building their downlines. It's about the only thing you can get opt-ins with on traffic exchanges now. I wouldn't spend any money on paid advertising at all on a traffic exchange anymore. What are your thoughts about using solo ads for list building? Also, if you ever tried brokering solo ads, Roy, that's a really good question there. Uh, I spend a lot of money on solo ads, and I highly recommend you spend money on solo ads, especially if you could get them from 30 to 50 cents or so a click. And then, it's somebody's, it's got recent testimonials. Now, don't be fooled by testimonials that are on somebody's page that are a year or two old. If they're fresh testimonials, and in fact, there's actually a Facebook group where people put live testimonials on now, and the good solo ad sellers are telling people to go to that Facebook group to post the testimonials. But if you find a solo ad seller that that does send decent traffic, I highly recommend solo ads. Now the only thing about it is solo ads most of the time is to a free offer. You can get some solo ad sellers to send to a paid offer, but they generally want to charge you more for that. And I'm not positive what the thinking is behind that, but I think it's because most of their lists would rather get something for free and as opposed to being sent to a sales page constantly. That's just my thinking. I'm not positive on that, why they charge so much more. But for, as far as list building, solo ads are the best way to go. Um, you need to try to get a sales squeeze page that will convert at least 30%. And you may want to try that with, like a Warrior Forum WSO. We'll put up I don't know if you guys have seen this sales page or not, or the WSO thread that I started tonight. It's just an exact copy of a squeeze page is all it is. The Warrior Forum doesn't have a bit of problem with you putting up a master resale rights product or something that you bought rights to give away as far as you're doing it for list building. Now, you can't put a product on there like that for sale, but you can give it away. But that works great for list building to do that. And in fact, that's what the WSO I've got on there now is not a software that I created. It's just one that I bought rights to give away. And as far as brokering goes, that's a new twist on solo ad marketing. It just came out, and there's a lot of people getting into that. And I'm actually looking into it myself. I'm going to start building another list over on probably GetResponse just to give that a try and see how well it works out. But it looks like it's got a lot of potential, Roy. Okay, we're coming up right at 9:30 now, and I didn't want to keep you guys too long. So do we have any other questions that you guys have? I know we got started a little bit late because of my little power blip here and locked me out of the room for a little bit. Kim says, for solo ad providers, does it matter if they want to write the copy? It just depends on how they're wanting to do the copy, Kim. And it's kind of hard to answer that. Some solo ad providers have a specific style of writing. They want all their emails, to follow their specific style of writing, and that's why they may want to rewrite it. But then some of them, and this is what you got to watch with some solo ad sellers, they're actually pulling you into a pool of clicks, whereas they're sending out a generic email saying this is the gift of the day or something to that type of email. I mean, it may not be that simple, but some sort of an email like that where it's just a generic email saying here's a gift I got for you guys. They don't even tell anything about it at all. And what they're doing most of the time in that cases is they've got a pool of people that they've sold clicks to that they've got them in a rotator and they're rotating out the clicks. If you're on anybody's mailing list or you send out an email like it, you'll notice with those that are doing that, if you click that link over and over again, that the ads will change. The offer will be something different every time you go to it. If you find somebody's doing that, I wouldn't recommend buying solo ads from them once or twice, just to get, some opt-ins from them, but I wouldn't spend a lot of money with them repeatedly because, those type of ads uh, are going to get more of the freebie seeker signups than they're going to get people that will buy something. Because anybody that will just take a generic email and click a link to get something for free, that's what they're looking for, is something for free. But somebody that will actually spend the time to craft an email, that tells about the offer or whatever, those are more high quality clicks when they do that. And even if they rewrite the swipe files you give them, that's still fine if they do that. And a good thing to do is to sign up to the person's list. That way you can see the ad go out. Well, thanks, Derek. Yeah, you've been with me a long time. You've been with me on several projects. Okay, guys. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. I want to try to get this recording done. It looks like we got a good, clean recording. At least our call went 100%, 200% better than last week. So I guess the little tweaks that they gave me must have helped. And in case you didn't know, I'll just tell you what the problems were. This computer I'm using was on a wireless connection, and they said that the wireless had noise on it. Somehow they logged into my machine and ran some software thing. They said there was noise on the wireless is what was causing all the problems. I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I'm on a wired connection now with this computer, so it did do a whole lot better. So that's something to keep in mind if you're going to do a webinar somewhere. Don't do it on a wireless connection, I guess, because it's liable to have problems. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming tonight. Again, here's the link one more time to the software that I got on the WSO. Like I said, this is a direct link to the software. You just click the download button and you can get the software. You got to register for a key, but other than that, the software is free. And it does work, guys. It's a good piece of software. I've used it quite a bit since I got it. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming tonight. I hope you enjoyed the little mini training. It told you about, how to use the opt-in forms and other places besides your squeeze page. And if you have any other questions on the replay, I'll have the same form again where you can email your question. And Don, I swear I'm going to go look through the emails, see where I missed your question. I apologize for missing it. I don't know how I missed it. It must have somehow, but I'll go look through my emails, and if I have to, I'll send you a personal response. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming tonight, and I'm glad we got to go through the call tonight without too many problems. I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Have a good evening, folks.